Good morning, everyone. Is everybody doing all right? It's nice to see you all. We're going to start here momentarily when we're joined, but just a couple quick things to get out of the way. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and silence or turn off any of your electronic devices. Don't be that person. And then just a quick reminder that transcripts are provided by ASAP Sports, and of course video is provided by our friends at Hammond Communications. And when we are joined by Coach, we will go ahead and take an opening statement, and then we'll entertain questions. We will have multiple mic holders, so just make sure I see your hand, and we'll get to as many of those as possible. And now we'll hold for a second, and looks like we've got Coach. Thank you. How you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. It's my pleasure to introduce University of South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley. Coach, if you could, an opening statement when you're ready, and then we'll entertain questions.
Just super excited to be here in Greensboro to participate in the Sweet 16. Our players are looking forward to some great competition against UNC, and you know, we hope that it's a packed house, because you'll get, you know, Friday night 2 great games against with 4 quality teams to represent our tournament.
Thank you again. We're going to take questions from here in our press conference area first. We do have a live audience joining us on Zoom. Please raise your hand if you've got a question. We'll get a mic to you as soon as possible. Start right down here in our front over to our left.
Hey, Dawn, how are you? I wanted to ask, just starting off with, some of the offensive struggles as of late, what in practice have y'all been working on, heading into the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, just with shooting and everything going on offensively?
I mean, we're getting a lot of shots up. I mean, we're breaking some of our offenses down, so our players feel comfortable, I think. And then we're just doing us. We're working our offenses, 5-on-0, just creating a rhythm. But we're also just letting our players know you just got to put the ball in the hole. It's not, we don't want them gun shy. We want them to be able to, shoot the shots that they naturally take and allow our rebounders to do their job.
We'll take our next question right here from in front. Give us your name and affiliation, please.
Rick Henry, WIS-TV. Hello, Don.
Hey, Rick.
You've been #1 all season long. What is it like, the feeling, the sense of pride for you and the players, and also just the weight and responsibility and the burden of being #1? As you get deeper in the tournament, does that weight get a little heavier?
I mean, I think it's to be the #1 team throughout the entire season is, it's an awesome feat. Not very many teams do it, and the ones that do it are well respected in our game. I think for our players, they never put the cart before the horse. They're always in the moment. And they're not thinking about being the #1 team in the country or the overall #1 seed. I think our players have had one goal, just one goal all season long, and that was to win a national championship. Whether we said it every day or whether we said it part of the season, that's their main focus. So, throughout, bad shooting nights and seeing, the experts talk about our team in various ways, they're not even thinking about that. They're just thinking about winning the next game. So I think it's really important for us to just stay in the moment and not let the moment get ahead of us. We've been the same team, approaching it the same way, and I like our team for it. They have a short memory for good or bad, and they turn the page and they figure out ways to win, and not feel the pressure of what being the #1 team is, and what being a #1 overall number one seed. I mean, it comes with pressure, but our players are really focused on outcomes, and that's just to win the next game.
We'll take our next question right here from the middle, 4 rows back.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Hey, Dawn. Your defense has been, great all year, but it's been really special these first 2 games of the tournament. Do you coach defense any differently? What do you demand out of players on defense? And when you look at when you're recruiting players, high school players, defense maybe a lot of times is an afterthought. Do you have to project, hey, I can, this person has great feet, so I can really turn them into a better defender than they are?
We don't necessarily just look at someone that could be a great defender. I think defense is a decision. You either gonna do it or not. It's not really a skill set. We've been very fortunate that for years, I mean, we've been defending as long as I've been a coach, because we really didn't know offensively what that always looked like. And I think with this particular group, they call themselves a freshman. Aaliyah, Bree, Zaya, Olivia, and L.A. I think they came in with the attitude of, I'm going to do anything that I can do to get on the floor and to help us win. And from the leadership of Ty and Kiki, they laid the foundation of playing defense a certain way, and everybody around them, they've elevated. So I think when people come to the University of South Carolina, they know they're going to have to play defense, or else, the likelihood of them playing a whole lot is slim to none. And that's the way it has to be, because, when we've shot the way we shot the last 2 games, or the 4 out of 5, or however many of them, you never know, but our defense is doing its job, and hopefully it will continue to do that.
We're going to go down here next, right slightly over to our right in the second row.
Hey, Dawn. Matt Dowell, Watch Fox from Columbia. Bree was speaking earlier this week about just trusting each other and how they played together so long. They really have that bond. How different is it coaching a team that has been together for a long time at this stage in the tournament compared to a team that has maybe never been here before?
I think as a coach, you look at the pulse of your team. You look at, what you need to really concentrate on and zone in on. And with the group of players that we have, you can not skip steps, but they can handle certain things. They can handle certain things in the locker room. They can handle certain things in their apartments, meaning emphasis. We know that we have to play, a certain way. Like if we're gonna play ball screens a certain way, we have to, we want to work on how we're gonna attack ball screens. They are doing they are teaching our youngsters how that looks, and they're forcing them or encouraging them to know the information. So we as coaches can work on something else. We're not constantly talking about ball screen defense or offense. We can say in the overall picture, here's what this looks like. Here's what we want to accomplish, and we know that the information is being received and executed.
Go next over here, third row to our left. In the middle.
Gaby Ream, her hoop stats, head coach. So after Kentucky's loss to St. Peter's in the men's tournament, Coach Calipari mentioned that it was harder to play defense, not only when shots weren't falling, not only because of transition, just because teams get frustrated and lose focus. Your team has not done that. Could you speak to their ability to remain focused on the defensive end even when the offense isn't rolling?
That's who we are. I think when you have an identity, and we created a defensive identity, and that is to make it really hard. And I think our players are super competitive in that they don't want to be that one that has a defensive lapse, and they hold each other to that standard of giving everything that they have, and it becomes contagious, and you don't want to be the one. And I think we've done that over the course of this season, and we'll continue to do that. As we play each and every game. It's not when you've built up some endurance to do it all the time, and it's a detail thing for us. We detail what we need to do on both sides of the ball. We're just much better doing it on the defensive side of the ball.
We're going to go right down here to our very front in the middle.
Hey, Dawn, Cam Gaskins, ABC Columbia. Between the last 2 seasons with COVID complications, this team hasn't had to travel for a true regional appearance in the NCAA tournament. So I'm just curious, with so many players that haven't been in a regional kind of atmosphere, was there anything you did this week to get them prepared for that, or is that something that you felt like maybe didn't need to be addressed?
No, I mean, we never really talked about that. I think our players are, familiar with being in this type of setting, because the SEC tournament creates, a very similar setting, again, and then we got an older group. They really don't care who they're playing, where they're playing. They know they have a job to do, and they take that very, very seriously. So, the location isn't anything that we spend a whole lot of time talking about.
Take our next question on the aisle over here in the middle, on our left.
Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. Coach, this is a little bit of off-court question. There's been a lot of changes this year, among them name, image, and likeness. Wondering, as someone who's, worked with brands before and been a spokesperson, have you given any advice to your players? How have you kind of guided them through this new year, and what has it felt like to you as a coach if things felt different?
My guidance came in the fall. Like I addressed our team. I asked them if they wanted me to help them identify some potential agents that could represent them. Some of them said yes. Others decided to do their own thing, and then I met with them, the potential agents, and their parents on a Zoom. We did that. It was an exhausting week of doing that with each player that wanted to go through that process, so they could secure some representation, and we can get on with our season, because I didn't want it to be a distraction as we played games and we got into our season. So I think they picked great agents. It hasn't been a distraction, and we're in a good place with it. And I think I do think some of our players are making pretty good money while still performing at a high level.
We're going to slide right across the aisle to our left.
Hi, Jeff Mills with the Greensboro News and Record. You referenced in your opening remarks a packed house. You guys have led the nation in attendance for a while now. It's got to be more than just winning. What do you attribute that to? And ticket sales here have been robust. And what does that crowd do for you?
We've been in a really long marriage with our fams. It's been great. It's been great because I think it organically happened. Our program started winning. We were very fortunate that we had some of the best talent in our state, and we made sure we cornered our state to make it real difficult for them to tell us no. South Carolina is it's a state in which they love their own, and they're going to show up to support their own. And when you have the best talent in the state representing our program, they come, and they keep coming. And it was it was winning. It was word of mouth. It was kind of bandwagonish, but it happened organically. And we've created an environment in which people want to come see us play. People want to come downtown and have dinner and come to a game. It's investing in women. It's investing in women on our campus, from the president to the AD. Everybody at South Carolina want our women's programs to win. And I'm not just saying women's basketball, because our women's soccer team has been in the Final Fours. Our softball team goes to the NCAA tournament. Tennis just beat, I think, Tennessee, were they number one? We've been doing this for years, and you get a glimpse of what it looks like when our women's basketball team plays.
Got time for one more. We're going to go right back. We're going to go over here to our left.
Hey, Eddie Wooten for the News and Record. You mentioned investing in women, and behind you there is a big banner that reads March Madness. What have you noticed to this point? Y'all are on the road for the first time in the tournament. What have you noticed that's different about the women's tournament this season compared to the previous season and the issues that came up last year?
What I noticed is what you don't know, you don't know. You know, last year we were in San Antonio, and obviously Sedona Prince did a TikTok video. TikTok video that showed the inequities. And then you really just start looking, like you look at games, in San Antonio and other sites, and you just don't recognize that it's a NCAA tournament game. Now you fast forward to this year, even when we hosted the first and second rounds, it looked like a neutral site. It felt like a neutral site when you walk through the doors and you walk through the hallways, you see the signage, and then you look at the participants. I looked at Howard, looked at Miami, South Florida, Incarnate Word. They all felt like they were in the NCAA tournament because all the hoopla, because all the signage, and that's what you want to make everybody that participates in a tournament feel like. They're something special. You don't want it to feel like it's a home game for South Carolina because we got the host, and I think it's a great start. So it's a really great start. But I'm eager to see what 5 years and 10 years down the line, what that looks like. And I hope it looks like, what when they started investing in the men's tournament, what that looked like. And I know, I'm almost certain that our tournament can generate a lot of money. And I hope in return, we can create the same kind of pecking order, the units, like the men's basketball team, they get money coming back to their universities, depending on how far they go. And we can get there. We can surely get there when the investment is done in the right way.
Coach, thank you very much. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
We'll pause for just a minute, and then we'll be joined by South Carolina student athletes. Ladies. We'll let them get settled here, but I'm pleased to be able to introduce two University of South Carolina student athletes, Aaliyah Boston and Zaya Cook. We'll go ahead and start with questions. As a reminder, photography is appropriate, but please no video. That's provided by Hammond Communications. Let us see your hand if you've got a question, and we'll get started. Start right here in the middle. So remind us, give us your name and affiliation and who your question's for.
Pete Iacobelli with the Associated Press. Hello, Zaya and Aaliyah. Your defense your defense all year has been great. These first couple of tournament games, it's been at a different level. Dawn said earlier, hey, the bottom line is if you don't learn how to play defense the way she wants, you're probably not going to see a lot of time on the court. Did you guys come here knowing that, and how have you kind of dealt with the idea of upping your defense year after year after year?
I think, I think coming into college, that defense is a big part of the game. And learning Coach Staley's defensive system it's pretty simple. It just takes a lot of communication. So just being able to do that. And then every year, you just got to continue to talk and make sure that you're able to direct newcomers that is just coming into the system. And for the tournament, we know that defense is an important part. You need to be able to stop the other team from scoring. And so we just take pride in that and making sure that we're getting defensive stops.
Zaya, anything to add?
I agree. I think coming into college, I knew off rip defense was something that we were going to have to be real good at. But I definitely think communication is key to when it comes to good defensive teams. And just knowing where you need to go, knowing when you need to be in help, knowing when you have to get over screens, go under. Knowing those things is what make great defensive teams. And I think since we're older now, we know what it's all about to play defense, and it's just all coming together at this point.
Go right down here in the very front on our right.
Chandler Mack with WLTX TV. Zaya, Aaliyah, both of you had tournament experience last year, got to experience the tournament last year. I wanted to ask, what were some of the things you guys learned from that experience? And then with the younger players on the team, what are some things you're telling them as far as, staying engaged and staying locked in and maybe even ramping up play as we get deeper in the tournament?
I think number one for me is just the recovery part. I think it was last year, I know for sure my body was really, really tired. So this year I just try to make sure I'm getting that recovery part in, just doing all the little things to keep my body prepared. And then as far as just being on the court, just going out there and playing like it's your last every single time you step on the floor, because it is your last. It can either be your last or you can keep going. But just to continue to stay motivated because we have been there before, so we know what it's like to get there. So that's definitely my motivation, to know that we are a good enough team to get there, and we've added way more pieces to this team. So I think we have a pretty good advantage at it. But definitely for me, I'm definitely motivated from last year's season to know that we are capable of doing it, but just making sure we knock it all the way out this time.
And also just knowing that the margin of error in games just gets smaller as you continue to move up. So just being able to take care of the ball and execute on offense.
Go over here next to our left, third row.
Gabe Ibrahim, her hoop stats. Against Miami, as you mentioned, they kind of packed the paint and were able to deny those entry passes. Do you think you're going to see something similar from UNC? And could you just kind of generally compare and contrast the talent on both teams?
I think both teams were pretty talented. I think UNC is going to be really physical. Miami packed the paint. Not sure if UNC is going to do that, but if they do, we're still going to attack and we're going to knock down our outside shots. So I think our offensive execution is just continuing to get better, and we're going to be able to do that tomorrow.
For me, I just been emphasizing on sharing the ball. I think that's going to be super important for us. And that's a tangible for us, to make sure we're sharing the ball, seeing our teammates, seeing the weak side of the floor, just making it easier for ourselves when it comes to scoring and not making it hard.
Far left on the aisle.
Eddie Wooten from the News and Record. For each athlete, what have you, there's a big banner behind you that says March Madness, and that's a big change for this tournament. What have either of you noticed to this point in the tournament that is different in how the women's tournament athletes are being treated?
Yeah, just thinking back to last year, because that was really our first tournament. At first it was like NCAA women's basketball, but now all the gear that we've gotten says March Madness, so that's definitely a plus. And haven't really seen too much on social media about anything that the men have gotten that we haven't, so I definitely think that that's better.
Well said. I agree.
Come right down here in the very front center.
Rick Henry, WIS-TV, Columbia. Good morning, ladies. This is for both of you. You've been number one all season long. Tell us a little bit about the pride that comes with that but also the pressure and the burden. And as you get deeper in this tournament, does that pressure, the burden, does that become heavier?
For me, I think I say this a lot. I really don't think about us being number one. Like, of course we are number one, but it's not something that stays on my mind. The only thing I care about is winning. And as long as you continue to win, you will be number one. But the rankings is something that I don't pay too much attention to. I just try to pay attention to our team and do everything we need to do to win.
I agree with that. And just being number one, I don't think it comes as a burden. I think that's just something special that we're blessed with the entire season. And so it's just like Zaya said, we're just really focused on making sure that we continue to get better as a team and continue to play.
Gonna go right here in the middle, 4 rows back.
Pete again. There in this regional, 2 of the top 4 seeds didn't make it. What does that say about the parity in the women's game, the parity in the NCAA tournament? That you've got to bring it every night, or else you might be on the outside instead of inside.
Yeah.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
I think that just says what March is all about. I mean, every team is coming to play, and you just have to be ready. You can't take any team for granted, and so you just go into the game with your game plan and just making sure that you're focused, because no one is just coming to get walked on.
Yeah, agreed.
We're gonna go back over to our left on the aisle.
Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. For both of you, I wanted to ask about the Slam cover and what it felt like to be on the cover of that magazine. And
For me personally, that was a great experience. We were able to get in that girly side, get our makeup done, and I think that was real nice for us. So I really appreciate Slam for giving us the opportunity, especially during March Madness, for us to be on the cover. I think that was awesome. But I definitely enjoyed that moment, and it was a lot of fun.
I second that.
Stay over here on our left, one row in front.
Hey ladies, Alexis Cuba from the State newspaper. Kind of a random question, but obviously in this era, you guys are able to make money, NIL, things like that. Destiny has her clothing line. Just curious your thoughts on, her clothing line and kind of seeing that and her starting that, and, whether she's, hooked you guys up with some merch or like you guys are kind of promoting for her.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Henny for what she's done. Starting a company in college, a clothing company at that. I mean, it's pretty hard, and she's done a great job. And you see people around town wearing her clothes, and you see her going to FedEx to ship the clothes off. And it's just exciting because she's making money off of something that she enjoys and something that she's passionate about. And so I'm just really happy for her.
I think Henny is super, super dope. But a fun fact for me about her process is that she started it before NIL, and not getting paid for it. She was just building that foundation for herself because she knew at some point she will be to sell her clothes. And I think that's a Wonder Woman move right there, to be able to start your business just because one day you will be able to attack it and be able to go ahead and sell your clothes. So I think watching her continue to come up with these nice clothes and selling them. I done seen them all over the world. I've seen them on TikTok. People DMing me about how can they get her clothes. And I think that's going to be an everlasting brand for her.
We'll move back over to the left side on the aisle.
Hey, Jeff Mills with the Greensboro News and Record. Y'all have led the nation in attendance again this year. What does your fan support mean to you, and what's the relationship like for this team with its fan base?
Yeah, I mean, the fans are really special. No matter where we travel, we have Gamecock fans in the crowd, and it just means a lot because, I mean, they'll fight for us no matter what, and it's just really special to be able to hear them every night.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely appreciate all our fans. Since my freshman year, they've always been there for us. I've even created some relationship with some of our fans. Even some of our fans, like I could look in the stands, I know exactly who they are. So it's like, it shows that they're committed to us. They want the best for us, and it's a beautiful thing for us.
We're gonna back over here to our right, second row.
Matt Dowell with Watch Fox in Columbia. This is for both of you. Zaya, you spoke about how physically taxing this tournament can be, but I know so much has been talked about mental health in sports, and just how mentally taxing can this event be when the entire country is watching, and what you guys do to take care of your minds during this event?
I think at this point it's all mental. Because physically you're going to be tired. Of course, you can do everything you can do game by game to keep your body together, but I think mentally you have to be there at all times, because at any time, even in the game, it's times where we could be down, but we got to stay mentally strong to know that we can get back up, and vice versa. So I definitely think the mental part is the most important part when it comes to this, because you're getting towards the end of the season, so your body might want to say, I don't want to do it, but you got to be mentally strong and know that you got to continue to push through.
And I think also mentally strong when things aren't going your way in the game for you personally. So I said, like, we could be down and maybe you're trying to score, but you're not hitting your shots. Just trying not to put that much pressure on yourself as well would be important.
Go right over here back to our left-hand side, third row.
Lindsay Gibbs, Power Plays again. Speaking of the NIL, how has it been for you both to kind of navigate that this season? Coach said she set you down in the beginning of the year and kind of helped connect you with agents if that was something you were interested in, and kind of hope that they would take care of that. But I wondered, like, what have you been looking for brands and for relationships, and how hard has it been to navigate the first year of this?
Go ahead.
Well, for me, I signed with an agent, and so she's been doing a really great job of helping me navigate through this process. She talks to me about different brands that she's reached out to or has reached out to us, and she kind of handles all that. My focus is just trying to make sure that we're continuing to play, because Coach told us at the beginning of the season, don't let anything come in between us and winning a national championship, and that includes NIL, because my mindset is if you're just continuing to kill on the court, then you won't have any issues off the court.
I agree. I also signed with the agent. I think she's been doing a good job at just handling everything for me. The only time I really deal with NIL is like on off days. For anything else, I'm always worried about the court, and that's why I think it's super important that you create and you have people around you that know what your responsibilities are, and they handle anything else besides that. So definitely having my agent and my parents around to help me with NIL so I could just focus on basketball.
Before we take our next question, as a reminder, only photography is allowed in here. We'll take our next question, far left in the back.
What stands out to you guys about North Carolina, and what challenges do you expect from them tomorrow night?
For me, I think they're going to be super, super physical. That's definitely what I think. So I think they're going to sag off us. So we definitely got to be able to get to our spots to where we know they'll play us, and just be ready for physical play. Don't foul them, don't bail them out, and just attack them, and just be physical with them the same way they'll be with us.
I agree. I think physicality is going to be something that they're going to try and do, but we're going to do the same thing back.
Any other questions? Thank you both. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done. As a quick reminder for the group, we do have lunch that's being served down the hall here from noon to 1:30, and then we will be back in this room 12:25 for North Carolina coach, and then 12:45 for the North Carolina student athletes.
Do we know which student athletes are?
I do not. I'm unsure if anybody else does, but I don't. Yeah, no problem. Hi, it's nice to see you. How you been? Good. Yeah, just, it was just, a couple weeks ago we were saying hi to each other, and a couple more weeks and here we are.
Yeah, I missed this.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it's always nice to see your face out there. Thanks. Hi, nice to see you. Yes, it's so good to see you. All the team, good team. And then also, I talked to Debbie Williamson. You were writing the story. So, yeah, so how did that go?
Well, you're so sweet. I have never, I'm old, but I really don't recall being much. Do you know where the lessons and I think that's just put me in a state. So my hope was it was going to run Sunday.
Yeah.
But we're going to delay this other races because
Closer to the.
like